Must be nice to be a business owner. Welcome to the podcast where we interview business owners and get actionable tips and exclusive insights. Check out our newsletter coming out every other Monday at mustbenice.news.
Um, I at a young age, I got a sense of how important the built environment is. Born and raised in Compton, I've seen neighborhoods that are kind of run down and then traveled the world, had the opportunity to travel the world and go to wealthy areas, wealthy neighborhoods and see the difference that an environment can have on people. Um, so for me, it has always been about, um, helping people understand the importance of the built environment and the effects it can have on society.
Thank you to our sponsor, sharework.com. Elevate your business with sharework.com. Your business deserves an impressive online presence. You're just like your finest product in a store or your sleek business card. Sharework.com crafts websites that leave a lasting impression, available when your customers are, putting the we and web design. This website is just a call away. Please make sure that you're calling sharework.com so you can get your project out there and launched. Their creating websites are phenomenal, just like ours at mustbenice.news. Now it's your turn to get a great website. Hey, Demetrius, thank you for taking the time for being here for the Must Be Nice podcast so we can inform others that are interested in becoming business owners as well. And yeah, man, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me on, Josh. Looking forward to this conversation.
Yeah, well, Demetrius, I know that you definitely have a lot of business experience where, yeah, you're a founder of your own architecture design studio. You're an investor in Boxable, a huge company. I've definitely heard Elon Musk is living in a Boxable as well. And
I don't know.
also,
Has that been confirmed? I don't know. I heard mixed
I,
reports on that.
I know I see where when he's on site at work that he also stays in a Boxable of his own.
Oh, okay. It has been
Yeah, I've
confirmed.
seen the videos.
Great.
I've seen it on YouTube, so it must be true, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you also have your own media company and podcast of your own.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cable media. Architecture firm is called Lines, and Cable Media is the media company, GABL Media. And we focus on AEC content.
That's great. And did you go to school for architecture at all? How did you get into that industry?
Yeah. So I went to school for architecture at Cal Poly Pomona. And my wife always makes not makes fun, but she's always like, I'm the only person that she knows that knew from a young age what they wanted to do and stuck with it and continued all the way, and then even after graduating, stuck with it and continued. So I've sort of had the college. So I've known since I was third grade that I wanted to be an architect or had an interest in it, and just kind of progressively got closer and closer. Went to school for it and stuck with it. And after you get so far into it, you're just like, I gotta finish. So you just keep going.
Did you have like any natural abilities that were like, hey, I could definitely be an architect. I'm good at drawing, and I like looking at buildings and houses and design, or did that all something you have to grow and flex?
No, yeah, I was pretty much interested in buildings. Could draw pretty well when I was younger. Loved math. It's kind of rare, but I loved math. And at some point, a guidance counselor or somebody randomly told me that you love math and you love drawing. Just kind of put it together, and you could be an architect. And just kind of kept going on that route.
And so when you graduated college, did you immediately go into, the being a business owner, or what did that route look like?
No, I was, I think I was, so after college, worked in college, I worked for a firm. And then after college, got a full-time job with a firm. And I worked for probably, I would say, about 10 years or so, maybe. Got about 10 years of experience. And then after a while, just got to a point where um, the questions that would come up that I would ask, my boss, they wouldn't know the answer either, and we'd be looking for the answer together. And it just got to a point where I was like, well, I could pretty much just do this on my own. There's no need anymore. I'm not really learning anything directly from someone. I'm learning on my own. So why not take a stab at trying to do it myself?
And what did that transition look like? Was everyone supportive? Was it hard to get it started?
Yeah, it was. As I got closer and closer, I had a bunch of friends that had gone to different firms, and I reached out to them and basically asked or told them, I'm thinking about going out on my own. Would you and your firm have a need for a consultant? And I kind of looked at that as a bridge to, because I didn't have not nearly the money I needed saved up to do something like this. So I just kind of used that as a bridge and asked, would you be able to supply me with some work as a consultant? And I did that for probably about a year or maybe two, and just kind of throttled down over time with the consultant stuff as I got my own projects, and that side of it ramped up.
And were you able to, open up lines completely by yourself? Did it take, other founders?
No, I'm a sole proprietor. Technically, legally, as an architect, we have to file as a corporation. So I filed as a corporation on my own, and then I converted it to an S corp, which is sort of a hybrid between a corporation and a sole proprietor. Um, I won't get into all the details because I'm sure I'm going to say the wrong information,
Yeah.
but basically that's kind of the route that I took, but all by myself.
Wow. And, how was that in your personal life? Did you save up all this money to, take care of yourself? Or, were you kind of, in a position of living with multiple roommates and such?
No, it was me and my wife, and I think we were married at the time, um, and yeah, we were definitely married at the time. But she had her income. We're a dual income couple, and that was a little bit of a safety net to know that we had a little bit of a cushion, and she was bringing money to the table as well, so I could afford to sort of take a risk to some extent. I didn't have a whole lot of money saved up, just using that bridge of the work from friends to sort of build a bit of a runway, and pipeline to additional work, and just kind of kept it going that way.
Yeah. And, after opening up your studio or your lines, and, obviously it sounds like you got into a couple other projects as well. How did you, grow your business? How did you become an investor in Boxable? What led to some of these other paths you took?
So around the time that I started, that I went out on my own, I also started my podcast, Spaces, and had just been, talking to a number of people in various um, areas of the architecture, engineering, and construction industry. And that's how Boxable actually came to my attention. I interviewed them super, super early on. The co founder, uh, what was his name? Galliano, I think. Interviewed him early on before a lot of people had been talking about them, and I really was fascinated with the project and what they were working on. I thought it was going to be a game changer. The way that the system that they came up with, and way that they can transport these units on a truck, rather than, when you drive down the highway and you see the giant mobile homes that are like wide load, and they have all of these trucks shutting down the road, or kind of quarantining them so they can transport them. This unit was so small they could stack multiple homes and transport them, and it was super easy. And you could almost just put them on I think there's videos of them putting on a trailer bed, and it was just so innovative. I was like, this company is going to take off. I don't know when, but it's going to. And over, I don't know, maybe a few months or so, I was talking with my wife, and together, she was just like, let's just invest. So I mean, we're not like massive investors or anything like that, but we just put a little bit of money in, and we're just one of the thousands of people that are investing now, probably hundreds of thousands, I would guess, at this point.
Yeah. No, that's so cool to be a part of that project, especially since you're in the space and such as well. Now,
Yeah.
when now being an investor and a part of an investor, right, in a major company like that, you have your podcast, and you're control of your own time and your own business, right?
Mhm.
What is that like? Is it really nice? Do you get to control your time all the time? Is it working 3 hours a day and spending all morning hiking? What does that life look like for you?
It is definitely not as leisurely as it may sound, having your own freedom, but it is nice to have your freedom, to be able to, adjust and not be chained to a desk from 9 to 5. You have some flexibility, but with that flexibility means you do have late nights, you do have early mornings, getting up before anyone else to put something together to send out an email or reports or whatever it is. So the flexibility is nice, but you definitely have to make up for it some way or another.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you have a team that works for you as well, or is it just you on staff as?
So for lines, my architecture side of what I do, it's just me. And then at times, if I need to, I'll bring in consultants to help me push out certain projects that may be a little bit too much for me.
No.
Um, Workload wise. But on the day to day, it's just me on that side. With Gable, we have a team. I think we're probably up to about 6 people or so. So that's a little bit more spread out, but there is still a ton of work that I'm doing there. But there is some support on that side.
Yeah.
And then the
So
podcast is solely me as well.
yeah. So, I mean, what does like an average week look like for you? Do you have like what a 9 to 5er would say is like a routine, Monday through Friday, you're doing the same stuff, or
Yeah.
and every week it looks the same, or are you really, being extremely flexible with how you operate?
Yeah, so there's two answers to that. I don't understand, if you listen to a lot of interviews of uh, executives and stuff. They all have these strict daily routines where they get up and do yoga and meditate and all that stuff. I can't get there, at least not right now. I don't understand how they're able to do that. My life is fairly chaotic. There's a lot going on. I have uh, deadlines that I'm trying to meet, and then random things will just pop up, and I have to take care of that and adjust. And I do have a little bit of a routine in that I do go for a walk midday just to kind of break up my day a little bit. Um, and then I get a exactly 12-minute nap um, after my walk, usually, and lunch. But that's about it as far as routine. And then it's everything else is just kind of getting stuff done as I need to.
And when you were working compared to being a business owner now, is there, a huge shift in, your time and day? What was it like before?
No, the when I was working for someone, it was much more regimen. It was I'd get to the office and I'm at the desk pretty much until 12 o'clock, and
Do you ever
then
miss
go.
that?
No, not at all. Not at all. I enjoyed the ability to, get up and walk around and take a break and not feel like eyes are on me to get back to my desk and pretend like I'm working or anything like that.
Yeah.
Being able to, if I don't have it in me to design at the moment, I can switch and focus on emails or do planning or anything like that. Because I think it's important to be able to operate efficiently, and it just depends on what mood you're in at the time, and having that ability to choose what you work on when you work on it is that part is nice.
Yeah. And I bet before you created your businesses, you wrote down goals and ways of celebrating those goals, and have you been able to check some boxes off and celebrate those boxes as well? And you've been having these business for I think for I saw for 5 years now, and not a
Yeah.
lot of businesses reach that mark at all.
Yeah. Um I've had kind of loose goals along the way, and honestly, you lose track of them over time. So it's kind of hard. I would say that I probably have checked the majority of my sort of immediate goals, um, and but it's kind of tough to keep track of those kind of things, and when you're in the business, especially the amount of things that I'm doing right now. Um, but it's more like the short term stuff. Yeah, it's I try to I try to take a step back and enjoy those moments when I am achieving those goals, but it's really like on to the next thing, and you're just trying to just keep going.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say you kind of enjoy the pursuit more?
Yeah, I think so. It's i- in this role of being a business owner, it's always the next thing, and you're really just trying to figure out, how to improve, and that consumes your brain 24/7 of, thinking about what the next step is. How do you adjust things to be more efficient? So it's a little tough to kind of sit back and think, you know enjoy it sometimes.
Yeah. And I know you said your wife has been a huge supporter of you during these years and with these ventures, and I bet you should put a lot of even her own money right into Boxable and your other projects as well. Um, what would your wife say about you being a business owner and seeing you go through this journey? Would she say, "Man, it's been great for Demetrius, but he's a busy bee now," or it's was I mean, I bet you've changed a lot, right?
Yeah, I don't know that I've changed all that much, but I think one of the things for her is like get sleep. That's the biggest thing, is like she's always harping on me to, take time away, get some sleep, relax, don't overdo it, don't kick the bucket early. so
Yeah.
so that's what she's constantly kind of reminding me to, you know to be mindful of my health and what I'm doing to myself, because that's more important than the work.
Yeah.
But she's definitely a big supporter in general of me being a business owner, and kind of rooting me on along the way.
Yeah. And with all these projects that these three different businesses that you have going on, how do you stay focused and prioritize yourself? Like, do you use any tools? And is there anything special outside of Google and Excel that people should be doing to manage their everyday?
Um, it's tough for me. It's not my style to sort of tell people what they should be doing, but I just share what I do. And for me personally, the way that I operate best is just checklists. I have tons of checklists, both written, and I'm trying to get more. Uh, I'm trying to get myself more into moving it to an electronic system. I have a Monday account that I kind of dabble in occasionally, but it's hard for me to focus into to one electronic system because when I'm thinking of stuff, I just jot it down really quick, and it's that extra step of opening an app or something like that. It's always kind of a barrier for me. So just jotting stuff down. I have tons of checklists in front of me, papers with lists all the way from the top to bottom, and I just go through them. One of my sort of superpowers, I would say, is just being able to compartmentalize to some extent. So when I need to get some things done, I can sort of shut out the world and focus on the things that I need to get done. But the checklist helps me understand the order of things, the order of importance. Uh, so I think that's a big thing, at least for me, is to, you know, get dump, do a brain dump of all the things that I need to get done, whether it's that day or week. And then I just kind of rank them in the order of importance, whether it's I need to get this out because I know I have the rest of my team that needs to work on something, or I have an actual deadline. So I just kind of rank stuff and then focus in on that list and just knock them out one after the other.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that it was in your heart, right, when you're an architect working for someone else to start your own business with lines. You know, would you recommend that for everyone? Is that something that everyone should be a solopreneur like yourself, or is it something where you would recommend some people to just continue the normal job path? Where do you see that, especially nowadays?
I think you know I think people know in their heart whether they are not cut out for working for someone, or if it's their preference to work for someone and not have all the risk and um the pressure of having to pull in your own work. So I would say that generally I would guess most people can, if you're honest with yourself, you probably already know which way you would go. And if you feel like you know you're not the type to work for someone, I think it's worth taking a pass at it, and just see what happens. What's the worst case scenario? Is you just go back and do the same thing again and work for someone.
Yeah.
At
And
least that's the way that I looked at
yeah.
it.
Yeah. And like you said, there's going to be hurdles, right? And what were
Mm.
some hurdles that you faced, or things that, you had to overcome to, be where you are and be at, this successful?
Uh, it's always just the financial side and the stress of making sure that there's enough in the pipeline. Um, right now, we've been in a pretty good economy for much of the time that I've been working, to where there's still work going on, and just trying to watch the economy and the tea leaves to see what's going to happen next and what pivots can I make or need to make. And part of building Gable Media was to also have another stream of income, that I could supplement when inevitably the architecture stuff is going to slow down, I would guess, at some point. So to have additional sources of income is always good, but financial side is always the hurdle, and trying to balance between your workload and trying to get new stuff. It's those are always the things that tend to be the hurdles.
Yeah. And I know you took this route, in a way on your own, right? You're solopreneur. You did this all by yourself. But is there anyone that is like a mentor for you? Is there someone that you go to for questions? Is there someone that's more experienced that you collaborate with in a way for kind of lack of words?
I'm a part of a few different groups, architecture groups, and typically I just kind of keep. I don't have one mentor, I would say, at least not right now. But I do have people that I, reach out to, or I'm in the group and just kind of look for conversations that are happening that are things that I either answer questions that I have right now, or uh, look out for things that I might run into later on, and just trying to stay ahead of any problems I may have. So I think being a part of peer groups are super helpful. And outside of that, it's I have a few people that I reach out to with specific questions when they come up.
Yeah. And are these like all, local, like city, or, Southern California, or, regional like groups? Or are these like expos that you go to, or or conferences that you go to where you meet these groups? How does someone in as an architect go and branch out on their own and collaborate when, they're working on their own business in the space? Is it something on
Uh,
Facebook they
so
find?
Yeah, so the one that I'm in is on Facebook, and it's actually how I met my partner for cable media. Um,
Oh,
he actually reached out to me for to participate in his podcast, which is how I first learned about him. And then I joined the group that he started, which is called Entre Architect, and there's like 7,000 architects across the nation. I think actually international too. So it's people all over the place that have various levels of experience, and they all just kind of share their thoughts about uh, problems that they run into. So that's one group that was good for me to be a part of and to learn a lot and be able to throw out any questions I might have.
yeah. And then do you feel like, you're as hungry and as passionate about everything as when you started this journey? Or, because over time, it really takes the consistency and persistence to be in the business continuously, right? What does that look
Mhm.
like over time for you? And how do you even think about, motivating yourself, right?
Yeah. Uh, I think it evolves. Early on, there's you're wide eyed, you have no idea what you're doing, so it's all about learning in the sense of just trying to get your feet under you, and then over time, the you have this hunger for learning and to get settled, but over time you start to get a different hunger of how to get better, and then how to um, become more efficient, how to surpass your competition. So it evolves over time, and I think you still have that hunger. It just changes for various reasons.
Yeah. And you've been in this journey for over 5 years now, right?
Mhm.
Where are you going next? What does the next 5 years look like? Is it an even bigger expansion? Is it continuing business as and just enjoying the benefits? What does the next five and beyond couple of years look like, and as far as where you want to go as a business owner and in your own life?
Yeah, I'm actually right in the middle of a sort of soft rebrand, and kind of and restructuring to some extent, where I initially had lines and spaces, my podcast, as two separate things, but now I'm going to kind of meld them together and evolve my practice a little bit, so it's not solely just traditional architecture. So I'm kind of building out that framework and what that looks like. So hopefully 5 years from now, that's successful, and I don't think I ever want to have like a massive uh studio. Maybe just like 5 years from now, one or two people that are helping me in my studio. And then I'm hoping Gable Media will have reached its sort of full, or what we anticipate as far as sort of its full framework built, because we currently are in sort of what we look at as sort of a first phase. But I think we have a couple things on the horizon that we're trying to roll out, and hopefully by 5 years that's all completely built out. We're just adding on to the company and making it better and better.
Yeah. And, obviously this is a new podcast and you're experienced as a podcaster, any advice for this podcast and, for others that want to start one as well? I think the statistics there's like 2,000 or 2 million podcasts out there
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, how
There's
how do
two
you,
there.
come again? My bad.
No, yeah, there's 2 million podcasts out there. So we were chatting a little bit right before we hit record, and I think the thing I would say is that you have to know, you have to have a good reason of why you're doing it. Um, you can't look at a podcast as, you're going to be the next Joe Rogan, because the odds are you will not be.
Yeah.
There's only, I can't remember what the percentage of it is, but it's like, I don't know, 5 to 10%, I would guess, that make money doing podcasting. Um, so you can't be in it for the money. Hopefully it will come, but there has to be a reason why you're doing it, to help people, to help your business, to whatever it is. There should be a reason aside from money, because it's a difficult uh, project to take on. The majority stop, I think, after like 10 episodes or so. If you want to continue, you got to find that reason of why you're doing it outside of, fame and fortune.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%,
Yeah,
right? It's
yeah,
Rome wasn't built in a day, but
yeah,
it also took many years to take it down, right?
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Well, the last question, while you have you on the podcast here, is you're a business owner, you're still rebranding your business, you know what's the end tunnel? Are you going to retire, Demetrius? Are you going to be a business owner until the day you die? Are you trying to build this business to pass on? What's really your overall why?
um, I at a young age, I got a sense of how important the built environment is. Born and raised in Compton, I've seen neighborhoods that are kind of run down, and then traveled the world, had the opportunity to travel the world and go to wealthy areas, wealthy neighborhoods, and see the difference that an environment can have on people. Um, so for me, it has always been about, um, helping people understand the importance of the built environment and the effects it can have on society. So trying to do that in various ways, whether it's, hands-on, actually crafting an individual space, or through a media company of just spreading the word and trying to um, share knowledge about the built environment. That's kind of been the why behind it all. Um, and from that point, you know, I don't know. We'll see what happens. I don't know how long it'll go. Um, it's not necessarily like to pass on to anyone per se, but uh, it is what it is one of my family sayings. So we'll just kind of see where it goes, and hopefully I can make an impact from that perspective of helping people understand how important the built environment is.
That's awesome. That's awesome,
Yeah.
Demetrius. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to be on Must Be Nice. And thank you. I really, really appreciate you being here and sharing your words of wisdom for me and for also for others that are, aspirational business owners.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, I hope you just enjoyed that episode of Must Be Nice. Learn more and follow Dimitrius Lynch on houseoflines.com. You can also check out the Spaces podcast there under podcast. You can learn more about Gable Media on gablemedia.com, Gabl media.com.